Hello, Facebook world. How are you doing? It is the end of a very long week. It is September 11th. Maybe there's a good history lesson you can teach your kiddos about today, especially if you may not have access to curriculum yet. But we are so glad we made it to the end of the first week, and we're happy that you're here to join us where we're talking about curriculum, the EPIC essentials, and what's the difference. If you are here for the first time today, would you throw like 5 thumbs up in our Facebook page right now? And if you've been here before, you've seen some of our other lives, and maybe you've even made a comment, throw like 5 hearts in there right now. Heart, 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 heart. All right, we have an awesome panel lined up for you today. It's going to be a great conversation because we've got some real experts on the line. We have Madison Brickman and Megan Ware and Stephanie Curd and Haley Bradley. They are here to help us kind of cuss and discuss and wrap our heads around EPIC essentials versus core curriculum, and what are they, and what's the difference, and what do I need to be doing? So Madison, will you tell us, how long have you been at EPIC, and what is it that you're kind of over around here?
Yes, so this is my 4th year with EPIC, my 2nd year in an administration role. So this year I'm a director of teacher development, so I kind of help train our new teachers. And then I am also on the ACET team, which is part of our high school EPIC essentials.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. And Megan, who are you? What do you do here? And how long have you been around EPIC?
I have been with EPIC for 2 years. Last year I was a teacher. This year I moved into the ACT instructional coach position. I'm super excited about it, and I get to help with SHMOOP.
Very, very good, very good. And Haley, how long have you been here, and what is your role at EPIC Charter School?
My name is Haley Bradley, and I am the math instructional coach. I've been here 3 years. I was a teacher first, and this is my 2nd year as the math instructional coach.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And last but not least at all, Stephanie, who are you? What do you do here? And how long have you been with EPIC Charter School?
Hi, I'm Stephanie Curd, and this is my 5th year at EPIC. I spent 2 years as a teacher, and now I'm the reading specialist team lead.
Awesome. Well, let's dive in, because I know we have a lot of frequently asked questions, but we started getting some questions from parents when we promoted this conversation. So we've got a lot to discuss here in a very limited amount of time. So I'm going to dive into some of the frequently asked questions. And Stephanie, I'm going to go to you first. What are the EPIC essentials, and then why do we use them?
So the EPIC essentials are just a few supplemental programs that we have chosen, and for reading and math that will, if your student just gets started in these programs, that we feel they will really benefit them in their reading and math. So we feel like if we just get these students started in these programs, that they will really accelerate their math and reading skills. So
excellent. Very good. So Haley, talk to me about Dreambox and Freckle. This is the math supplement we've used, or we've chosen to kind of bridge the gap for kiddos. What's the difference between the two?
So Dreambox and Freckle, we're both using for math, and I'm going to first start with the similarities. So they are both adaptive programs, which means that they will adapt with every question that is answered, and they will change based on whether or not the student got the answer right or the answer wrong. So those programs are really great for someone that may need to show growth in an area. They can start where they are, and then the program just adapts. The other thing that's available is that teachers can assign a specific standard. So whether a student is struggling in a standard, the teacher could assign a grade level below, and so they could work a grade level below on that standard and then move to on grade level so that they could show mastery. Or if a student was above grade level, then they could also assign a standard that they may be really great at and want to improve. And then they both also have the little avatar store where you can change the avatar and then buy things with coins for some of the younger grades as well. The differences between Dreambox and Freckle are that Dreambox is more, they want you learning by inferencing and getting the answer wrong and figuring out why it's wrong and how you can change that and what the answer might be the next time. So there's very little instruction. There's a lot of colors and sounds and get the answer right. There's a rocket ship. So there's a lot going on with Dreambox, and a lot of kids learn well through that environment. Now, Freckle is a little bit different in that it is more just kind of black and white. There's a white background, there's a problem, it's asking for an answer. But it's got a few colors for the younger grades, but it's just not as many manipulatives or things moving around or sounds. And when you get the answer wrong with Freckle, there's an instructional video that is played directly after so that that student, the next time they answer the question, has more instruction to go from. Then they're also, both of them have hints, but in the Freckle hint, it does eventually give them an answer and then another question that's very, very similar to the last one. So maybe with that hint, they can have more of an idea of what to do the next time. The only thing in Freckle that's really different than Dreambox is the fact practice. There's fact practice that students can do at least 2 rounds a day because they earn coins for that store that we were talking about. So fact practice is so essential with math. And so I do love that aspect that they have just to work on their math facts and play around with that.
Awesome, thank you. And we're starting to get a lot of questions coming through. So I'm going to kind of put the frequently asked questions on hold so we can respect the people that are here and get their questions answered, all right? If you feel like you want to answer the question, just chime in and let us know, all right, ladies? The first question is going to come from Shauna. She says, how about IEP students? How do you help them? And Shauna, I'm going to go ahead and take that one, and I'll say it's very hard to talk about IEP when it's so broadly suggested here without knowing what specific modifications are put in place or accommodations are put in place. We can't do much. All I can tell you is that your teacher is there to help make those modifications as they apply to that IEP. Let me see here. The next question comes from Michelle. Michelle wants to know, why did EPIC change Comprehend to Bright Thinker? My son loved Comprehend. Bright Thinker is definitely different in the mechanical parts. And Michelle, that was not on us. That was the Comprehend platform. They switched to Bright Thinker. We just still had a contract with them, and that's it. I'm really sorry it's different, and please know that you've got a little time to explore other options right now if he's just really hating that curriculum. Let me see here. Nicole wants to know, are students who did not need EPIC Essentials based on benchmarks going to have EPIC Essentials loaded onto their Clever? Or will it only be loaded for kids who have EPIC Essentials? Madison, do you want to take that one for us?
Sure. So if a student did not qualify for EPIC Essentials, they can still purchase those supplemental programs through their Learning Fund. They just need to get with their teacher. The icon tiles may still be on their dashboard, but they wouldn't have an account set up if they didn't qualify for EPIC Essentials. But that doesn't mean they can't use Freckle or use Dreambox or use MindPlay. It just needs to be purchased through the Learning Fund with their teacher.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Jamie wants to know, if these programs didn't help with my student on an IEP, why were we not able to find other options? They're completely overwhelmed to my daughter. And so, Jamie, on that one, just so you know, we did add a couple of options. Last year, MindPlay was the only option. This year, for reading and Dreambox for math. And this year, we've added the Freckle and Reading Plus options to the EPIC Essentials as well. So see if you can get with your teacher about maybe checking out what one of those options looks like. Stephanie, did you have anything to add to that one?
Just a little bit. If you are struggling between the two, we do have Freckle and Reading Plus. Freckle is more, it's good for students who want something that they can take their STAR test, and then it will just, you can look at that benchmark assessment score and just move right into the Freckle program. And it's also, you can assign, your teacher can assign specific standards in Freckle based on your STAR report. And Mind Play, the difference in Freckle and Mind Play is 100% adaptive. And I'm here to answer your Mind Play questions today. I didn't mention that when I introduced myself. I'm sorry. But Mind Play is 100% adaptive, so it will give your student a diagnostic screener right when they log in, and then it will prescribe lessons based on exactly what they need. So that's the difference in those two programs. If you're wondering which one should I choose for my student for Epic Essentials, they're pretty different. So your student either needs one or the other, and I can kind of help you decide if you're wondering which should you choose.
One of the things I absolutely loved was that both of them have upgrades for dyslexia. The Mind Play program was written by a man whose kiddos were dyslexic, and so it is, 100% thinking about learners with different capabilities. And then the Reading Plus option, while it's not necessarily written for dyslexia, it's got the eye track. And I think that is a huge component. Not only is it a huge component for dyslexic children, but it really can help boost the words read per minute, even for on grade level high school students who just want to try to take their reading to the next level. Both of those programs I've used, and Seth, you've helped me really dive in with my kiddo because she's got dyslexia. So let me see. Tamika wants to know, do teachers create the curriculum and the lesson plans? And I think, Tamika, that's a really great question. We don't create the curriculum. We can select and deselect a few things within some curriculum options, but for the most part, every teacher helps modify for each student what that student is doing. So your teacher has a lesson plan just for your kiddo, but she may have an entirely different lesson plan for the next kiddo in the same grade level. Every kiddo here is kind of on their thing, on their own playing field. They're all on grade level content and then bridging gaps, but for the most part, each kiddo has a different plan. And that's actually a perfect question for today, because I've seen a lot of people trying to compare themselves and their plans within the parent Facebook group and the Epic Facebook group. And guys, comparison is so hard because it can leave somebody thinking like, oh, well, gosh, we aren't doing that program. Do I need to be doing that program? Should I be doing that program? My teacher sucks because we're not doing that program, or my kid's going to not have this because we're not doing that program. And that's just not the truth. And if you think you need a program because a friend of yours has it, ask your teacher and we'll help you get set up with it. But don't necessarily compare your plan to somebody else's plan on Facebook. I hope that helps, Tamika. Amy wants to know, I've not heard from our teacher at all this week. How often should I be hearing from her? I expected at least once a week. I've kind of felt lost all week. Amy, this is a great question. I'm going to get a hold of you on the side and find out what's going on. For what it's worth, and anybody watching here who may or may not have heard from their teacher, I dug in after our last Facebook Live when somebody said they hadn't heard from their teacher. And it turns out the parent had transposed two numbers on their application. So the number we had in the system was not the right number. And we'd been trying to get a hold of them. The teacher had logged it and the principal had logged it. We've tried to call this parent. What's going on? And it just turned out, and thank you for reaching out on Facebook because we were able to dive into it. But that phone number was just transposed, and now that teacher is in contact. So Amy, I will get a hold of you on the backside of this, okay? Different Amy, different spelling, wants to know, when will we be able to get into the stuff that's down? And that's a great question. We're kind of waiting on some of that too. The curriculum vendors are a third party. We subscribe to their curriculum content, and then it's on like, I don't know, the backside, complete, like, I don't know, somebody help me out here. The curriculum is not all or down. Some of them are still being uploaded. I'm having a horrible time connecting. Does anybody want to jump in here and save me?
Yeah, think of
I
it
can
like
jump in.
a login. Or yeah, Haley, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it is a third party, and I think it's the loading. Once they load all of the students, and then if there's any kind of error on any of the students, it may, kick them back to redo it again. So I think sometimes there's a delay there where we thought it was going to be up and running, and then there's some errors that the vendor has to work out, and so we have to communicate that. So it sometimes looks like it's on our end, but we have to communicate with those vendors too and make sure they're on the same page, I guess.
Thank you so much for putting eloquently what I was trying to get at there. Thank you, thank you. Let's see, Suzanne wants to know, we still don't have access to our curriculum. Will the 10 days be extended to those of us who don't have access? Suzanne, that's a really good question. And your teacher can actually assign stuff to you even without the curriculum. We've got plenty of students who do research and write papers, and Khan Academy is always free, and we can get going there until the curriculum gets updated. We've also got access to a folder called The First 10 Days. And this was a folder created for every grade level, math and reading, so that if you don't have access to curriculum, not just during this beginning of school, but if at any time during the school year, your technology goes down or something happens, we can get into this First 10 Days folder and grab an assignment and do it and not lose any kind of progress whatsoever. So I hope that helps, Suzanne. We'll throw the link in for you. Ketra wants to know, IXL sometimes counts questions wrong, even if the right answer was selected. Is there anything going to be done to fix this issue? Ketra, that's a good question. Do any of you ladies have access or run the IXL platform? Okay, I can tell you that if you report those to us, okay, let your teacher send something to our system support managers through a ticket here. We contact those vendors and we say, hey, can you check this out? And sometimes it is an error. Sometimes it's that, there was not a capital put on a proper noun. But if there is a true error, we report those to the vendors, and the vendors do get that stuff updated. So if you find an error like that, definitely let us know. Suzanne says, we have Epic Essentials, but after repeated inquiries, we still don't have a class code to Freckle and Dreambox. Can one of you guys speak to the class code on Freckle or Dreambox?
Yes, I can. So the free accounts created on Freckle have the class code. So if a teacher creates a free account and then invites students, then they invite by giving that code to them. When Freckle is loaded and they have fixed their errors, which we have been in contact with Freckle nonstop, and so they're working on that, and it's coming, but they're loading the Freckle tile within Clever, but it will be under the Renaissance app, and then there will be a Freckle tile inside the Renaissance app. And the reason for that is that so that the students who are taking the STAR assessment can link that STAR assessment to Freckle. So once all of that is done, it is supposed to be able to sync all of those accounts together. So if you had a previous account or a teacher had a previous account, it will sync all of that together. But right now it's sort of in the middle. So some teachers have created accounts and they have given those class codes, but then we won't need the class code later. So it's a little confusing. Dreambox is up and running as of late last night, I think. So I logged into Dreambox this morning. It looked great. So I would try Dreambox, but Freckle we're still waiting on.
And just because kiddos see the icon for Freckle, it doesn't necessarily mean they have Freckle, right? It's chosen as an extra component through the ILP process, correct?
That is correct. And I think we are taking the Freckle icon off of Clever, and because it is going into Renaissance, because I think that was confusing. So I think they are removing that icon and putting it within Renaissance. So that might be a little bit easier to lessen confusion, I guess.
Awesome. Johanna wants to know, when will parents get meetings scheduled for children with an IEP? We've asked for our teacher several times, and they're still trying to figure it out. Today, we've learned that they're being placed with another teacher. And so, Johanna, there could be multiple reasons for that. The most common is that the IEP did not get transferred with your student's records. And so once that happens, then we do try to get you with a teacher who's specifically available for, making accommodations for that IEP. But if anything's gone awry, email your principal, and the principal will help you out if you can't get any more information. Latoya wants to know, Freckle is not available. Why? And Latoya, I hope maybe we just answered that. It might be that it just hasn't migrated yet. It might be that the access has been down. And also, some of these programs allow for benchmarks. Is that correct? Can somebody speak to that one?
Yes. Do you want me to speak, Stephanie?
Yes,
they
please.
need those benchmarks for sure, because they are, one, it says whether or not they're part of Epic Essentials or not, whether or not they qualify. So we need those benchmarks completed before. And some of you have completed your benchmarks, and those teachers are trying to get those programs out there for you. But we just have to be patient. Like we said before, with the vendors, sometimes there are errors.
Very good. Thank you so much. Let me see. Ashley says, I don't have access to Dreambox or MindPlay. We will have to play catch up when we get access. And so, Ashley, just so you know, it's Epic Essentials isn't even started full on yet. Okay. We wanted to give you guys access. You have the access to start kind of getting familiarized with it and such, but the tracking of time is not happening right now. So don't worry about playing catch up. Just do what you can do when it comes up. All right. No stress right there. Kiara wants to know, so what's up with EE? And I have no idea, except for Epic Essentials is something that Epic has put into place for students who maybe are missing a few standards in their learning behind grade level. And so we give them a supplemental curriculum to help kind of do on the side to catch up in those holes that they may have. And so I hope that answers your question. Megan wants to know, we have not had access to MindPlay Dreambox all week. How long? We're falling behind. Don't worry, we've gotten to that one. Sorry, on the repeated question. Let me see here. Teresa wants to know, how soon will my child be reassigned a teacher? I don't know your story, Teresa, but I'll try to get a hold of you on the backside as well, all right? Let me see. We've placed our order with Epic Essentials and it's been approved, yet it still we don't have access to Freckle, Dreambox, or any of the things we got. Suzanne, I'm already looking things up for you on the backside. I'll find out where your access is. I hope that helps. Jessica says, if we're not really happy with the Epic Essentials math option offered, can my child be exempted if they are using an outside program like Elephant Learning? And so I'm going to defer to Haley on this one, but as far as the programs we've offered, they're state approved. I haven't heard of Elephant Learning. Ladies, nod your head if you have. Yeah. So the hardest part about some of these offline or supplemental curriculum options that we don't offer is that we have no idea if they meet actual state of Oklahoma grade level standards or even below grade level standards. Some of them are great math products, but then they just fall way short. And basically, we are trying to make sure kids have access to not only the standards, but at the depth of knowledge 1, 2, 3. This is really hard, and the depth of knowledge is where it takes you can have a kid who knows what 3 times 4 is, but if they can't then explain how they got that answer, they're still not on grade level. And that's where we start getting those holes and kids start getting further behind. I don't know if you parents know, but Oklahoma just a couple of years ago went from 49th worst state standards in the entire nation to 17th most rigorous standards in the entire nation. And so and this is only 2 years, like, right? Am I right, ladies? This happened 2 years ago that Joy Hoffmeister spoke with us and told us that. So not just Epic, but the entire state of Oklahoma is still trying to play catch up from going from the worst to the 17th toughest. And that's where that depth of knowledge comes in. And so moving outside of the Epic Essentials or your core is going to be really difficult. But you just need to talk with your principal and your teacher on that one. Lisa wants to know, what information can you give about the Epic Collegiate Academy? I'm interested in what fields are available. So the Epic Collegiate Academy, there was an email sent out to all families this last week. And if you'll reply to that email, they'll get you more of that information. I don't have that off the top of my head. Let me see. Yvonne wants to know, she says, my grandson is 7th grade and seems to be having a problem with a test. What can we do as far as tutoring? Yvonne, that is a great question. So while we have the Epic Math Coach and they've created videos to help supplement some of that stuff, we also have access to 24/7 online FEV tutoring. And FEV tutoring is a platform that came to Epic a few years back. And they're another one that if you tried it 4 years ago and you didn't like it, it's probably a totally new system now. They listen to every piece of feedback and they modify their system all the time to help us. And so if you haven't tried the FEV tutoring yet, do so. Now on that one, it took my daughter probably 3 tutors to find the one she absolutely loves. When you find a tutor you absolutely love, hit the schedule an appointment button and get an appointment and a regular schedule with that tutor. It makes a huge difference. Sometimes just the way we speak to each other, Haley and I might not get along because I just don't get her, the way she's speaking. But Madison may be the teacher for me. And so I want to go with Madison all the time. It doesn't mean Haley's not bright or really gifted at math. I just kind of like the way Madison approaches it. So if you find the right tutor, get it scheduled. Sorry, ladies. Sheena wants to know, how much are we supposed to be doing in English and ACT every day? My teacher said he doesn't know until a report comes out. And that's a great question. So again, this is one of those that is very student specific. I've heard anywhere from 4% and 5% to 7 and 9% per week, which doesn't help you out necessarily per day, but you can watch the bar or the grade book move in every single one of our curriculum, and that should give you a good indication. So somewhere between 4 and 9%, depending on how fast or how slow your own kiddo needs to go. Let me see here. Danielle wants to know, is there a curriculum that would be recommended for a child who's below grade level in reading, IEP? We are not happy with MobyMax. And so that's a great question, Danielle. Stephanie Kurd is our reading specialist, actually. She is so knowledgeable in that. Stephanie, could a kiddo do like Mind Play or Freckle in place of the MobyMax curriculum?
So it's just hard to make a blanket statement like that because every child is so different. But I would definitely recommend reaching out to your principal to help with that decision. I would definitely recommend trying out Mind Play just because it is Orton Gillingham based, which just means that it provides explicit, systematic, multisensory reading instruction to students, which we know that struggling readers respond well to that type of instruction. So if you haven't tried it out yet, I would definitely recommend Mind Play. And I don't know that if it could serve in place of your core, that definitely would not be a decision I could make. But a principal would be a good person to speak to about that. But we do know that our students who are struggling respond well to that type of instruction, and Mind Play is definitely as close to having a reading specialist in your living room as you can get when you're talking about a program. So it's hard. It's very rigorous because it works, but it's only 30 minutes a day, and definitely a program where you would want to have your student just working for 30 minutes and then taking a break afterwards. So that would just be my input that I would have concerning that. I hope that helps answer your question.
That helps tremendously. And oh my goodness, guys, this was the fastest 30 minutes I think that have ever gone by in the live Q&A. And we still have 31 questions I didn't even get to. And I know questions are going to come all week because that's just kind of been the nature of these live Q&As. So ladies, would you commit to going to our Facebook page and just answering any of the questions you could answer? Thank you. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this here. Please know we will answer your questions, just not live here on Facebook. It has been an awesome time. Thank you so much for interacting with us. We'll get back to you. We will have another Facebook Live coming at you soon. Until next time, thank you for making Epic a top place to work and learn.